was very short, shorter than now, and I could barely see over this thing. Very terrible experience. I'm sure this will be a lot more pleasant. First of all, I have a question for everyone. How many of you like movies? Yay! Yay, good. So you're gonna like my book, because it is about the decade I spent as a script coordinator, working on many feature films and TV programs. And, well, if you read the book, you'll see exactly what it is a script coordinator does and has to go through. But just to give you an idea, a script goes through many, many different sets of revisions along the way from start to finish. And many people have input into doing these changes, and it's up to the script coordinator to keep track of them all and to keep track of all the different versions on the computer and make sure that everyone gets the different sets of revisions and that they're all differentiated. And there were many other jobs I did as well, like schedules and agendas and story meeting minutes and all different things. But that's just the idea of it. Now, so I decided to write a memoir of this decade during the 90s that I spent doing this a couple of years ago, because I think I just wanted to have a record of it, basically. And also I thought it would be interesting for people to read, because most of us don't know, unless you've worked in a field or you've been exposed to it in some way, exactly what goes on. So I thought that it would be interesting for people to read. And the people who I know who have read it tell me they liked it. So
yes.
I feel vindicated. Thank you. So now I have another question for you all. How many of you have heard of an actor named Patrick McGoohan?
Patrick who?
Patrick McGoohan. Yeah, a few hands. Or a show called The Prisoner back in the 60s. It was a big cult hit. Well, I decided I'm going to read you the prologue that I have, for one reason, because I think it's one of the most dramatic, I guess, of the whole book, and it just, I find it a way to sort of ease into the whole story, even though it took place in 1996, after I had already been in the field for about 4 years, but I think you'll find this interesting. So this is the prologue. On a warm spring afternoon in May 1996, the phone rang. Okay, it rang a lot of times in May 1996, but this was different. It was a call from a production coordinator I'd worked with previously, Jocelyn Marlowe, yet another fabulously bilingual film crew member, so prevalent in our multicultural city, Montreal, Quebec. Her timing is excellent, I thought. Here I am, right between 2 seasons of Space Cases, and she's no doubt calling about a feature for me. It'll fit in perfectly. After our warm greetings, she says, "So Ellie, maybe you've heard, there's this show called Hysteria I'm working on." I tell her, "That's great, her timing is excellent." "Well, actually, I'm not really calling for you to work on Hysteria. Someone's already doing the script revisions." "Oh," I said, deflated, yet curious. So she says, "What I'm really calling about is this. We have an actor on the show. Do you know of Patrick McGoohan?" Is the Pope Catholic? I think to myself. But I don't say it because Jacqueline, like most French-speaking Quebecois, is probably Catholic, and I don't want to offend her. It's also quite possible she herself had not heard of Patrick McGoohan, since the French and English cultures were often quite separate. In any case, my response to her question was, "Of course." I was a little excited, what can I tell you? Everyone, well, every female of a certain age who had ever watched the 1960s cult TV hit Secret Agent, also called Danger Man, or The Prisoner, had nursed a crush on him. He of the handsome face and a voice of such authority that it rang out with a clarion force that, oops, I'm getting carried away here. Right, so now Jacqueline says, "Well, Ellie, Mr. McGoohan asked me if I knew anyone who could help him out with his script. Would you be interested?" His script? His script? I was all a quiver with attention. If I had been a cat, my ears would have pricked forward and my whiskers too. Only later did I learn that the script he was writing was for a feature film, a sequel to his classic 60s show, The Prisoner. Yes, she said, he's writing his own script, and he says he needs someone to help him, to work with him, because he doesn't have a computer here. Oh. Listen, he's right here. He can explain it to you. So can you talk to him now? My knees turned to jelly. Was I dreaming? Hello, Ellie. His voice boomed in my ear. How are you? It was as familiar as yesterday. It was unmistakably the voice of number 6, the prisoner himself. Crisp, clipped, sublime diction, and loud right in my left ear. My breathing quickened. Hiya, Patrick? Wait, I thought, was that presumptuous? She called him Mr. McGowan before. What if he... Yes, well, Ellie, Jacqueline here tells me that you're a whiz on the computer. Is that right? That emphasis on whiz, I could barely breathe now. I was in a daze. All I remember from the rest of our short conversation was that I agreed to go to his hotel, the Ritz-Carlton, on Sunday morning at 10 a.m. and to bring my laptop. I didn't have a laptop, but I damn well knew I would very soon be renting one. Never say no, aka always say yes. I ended up renting one from a friend of my daughter's. Okay. For the next couple of days, I forced myself to calm down, realizing I'd be useless if I went there and met him while huddled up in a nervous ball of slivering slime. I reminded myself that I had a fair bit of experience under my belt now on a variety of shows with different software and people with all their quirks. Soon I was about to meet one of the quirkiest of them all. I dressed carefully, as if for a job interview. In a way, that's what it is, isn't it? Except that he's already under the impression that I'm super duper at script stuff, so hey, who am I to argue with him? One last look in the mirror. I figure I look cool yet casual, able yet arty. I practice breathing deeply, nice and easy, and decide to just try and treat him as, well, a colleague. We'd be in this together, wouldn't we? As equals. Sunday, 9:55 a.m. The doorman ushers me through the gilded doors of Montreal's storied hotel jewel, the Ritz-Carlton, home of Elizabeth Taylor's first marriage ceremony with Richard Burton, 1964. And now, Ellie Presner and Patrick McGowan's work on a Prisoner movie script, 1996. I'm at the door to his suite. I knock. With as much confidence as I can muster, the door opens.